Hello everybody, today we want to have an introduction about PHP. Okay, let's first search PHP in Google. PHP is a general purpose scripting language that is especially designed for web development. We rarely use it for desktop applications, although we can do it. It was originally created in 1993 by Rasmus Lerdorf. It has been around for around 30 years. It's a robust web development programming language. We usually refer to PHP.net. It's a reference website. As you can see here, the current version of PHP is 8.3.21. The current version is 8.4. As you can see here, you can go through the latest news about PHP. For example, here you can search here, for example, how to declare a variable in PHP. Let me write variable. Okay, as you can see here, there are many articles, many questions by different people around the world about how to defining a variable. Actually, we have two types of PHP. First one was PHP 5.4. That was totally different compared to PHP 7.1. We don't have PHP 6, the current version PHP 8. As you can see here, you can learn how to declare a variable. For example, you need to use $ to declare a variable. The variable name is case sensitive. We really go through in these things. Just I want to give you a big picture of this reference website. Okay, we want to learn about PHP. Is really a robust language for web development. I can tell you, as long as WordPress is around, PHP will be around as well. For example, in Iran, our country, 90% of websites have been developed by WordPress that is based on PHP. For example, when you search here WP, that is abbreviation for WordPress, you can see many things about WordPress in the code. For example, Writer is also designed by WordPress. We really need PHP because WordPress can be customized by PHP. We have a website called W3Text. It gives us information about different content management systems, programming language. For example, as you can see here, 43.5% of websites around the world is developed by WordPress. After that, we have Shopify, Wix, Squarespace, and Joomla. Joomla is very far compared to WordPress. We also have Elementor, Wix, Tilda. As you can see here, look, PHP 74.2% of websites around the world is developed by PHP. So you can conclude that PHP is a robust language. If you want to learn different things like Django, the Django is for AI usually, not web development. Of course, PHP also went through AI but it was not really successful. It was not really powerful. Okay, now let's go to technologies. If you click on server-side languages, you see the list here. On top of the list, we see PHP. 74.2% of websites around the world are developed by it. After that, we have Ruby, Java, ASP.NET, JavaScript until Erlang. This list is produced by w3text.com on 30 May 2025. It shows that, again, how powerful PHP is. Don't think that one day is going to come that PHP is ranking down, because Ruby, Java, ASP.NET, etc., they don't have a strong content management system or CMS like PHP. They cannot reach to PHP anytime soon. It takes long time for them to replace PHP because they need to come up with a big corporation. Maybe in the future we see some updates about the position of Python in the future, or JavaScript. For example, JavaScript is having something called Strappy. It's fantastic. It's a headless CMS that I usually use this CMS during my lecture for React and etc. About Python, maybe in the future we can see some progress because they are coming with new ideas, new plugins. So we conclude that PHP is predominant programming languages for websites in our country, Iran. So we need to learn PHP to work with WordPress. For example, we can design plugins. So I want to refer to my school, so we can consider PHP as a prerequisite for WordPress. Okay, the prerequisite of this program is that you must know HTML, CSS, CSS3, JavaScript, and Bootstrap and Tailwind. That will be perfect if you know Bootstrap and Tailwind. In this term, we are going to use AI in our projects. We use Copilot for that. The IDE or integrated development environment is PHP Storm. Another IDE is Visual Studio Code. As you know that Visual Studio Code is an excellent option for developers. During my lectures, I usually use Visual Studio Code, but I prefer to use JetFriend because you can use AI in them and they can help you to write neat codes in your project, I use both of them. But in this time, I use PHP Storm because in the market you see many companies are using PHP Storm. Alright, during this term, we have decided to update our PHP course to include new things. So we need to speed up a little bit. Okay, have a look at this flowchart. This flowchart shows that how a client's browser is interacting with a server to load a website. For example, this is client. For example, what you see here in front of you, and imagine that you are this star and you want to type a URL, website URL in your browser. Once you enter your URL, you send a request to your server. Your server can be Windows based or Linux based or other things, and inside your server you can have Python, you can have PHP, Java, C#, and etc. We call them server-side programming language. And once you send a request to your server, something happens in your server, and in simple term I mean, and your server is also connected to your database or DB. And your server and database exchange information. For example, you can write in it or read from it. Okay, later at the end, server sends a response to your client. So between client and server, we have request and response. And at the end, we can see this page. For example, Ritel.ir, that is a telecommunication company. For example, when I press on buying internet, you see a response from your server, and your browser can load the website or web page based on the request. Once you press on inspect, or when you press on F12 on your keyboard, if you press on all in network tab, once you refresh your web page, you can see some files are being loaded here. The total size of these files are around 4 megabytes. Some of them are blocked, but most of them are loaded successfully. For example, we can check preview and response. For example, we can look at fonts, images, SVGs. We can preview SVGs, images. Most of them are SVGs. Later we go through a status code. 200 means that the data is received successfully from the server, but as you can see, the status is blocked CSP because it's blocked due to security reason, because of reference policy. As a result, we cannot load this file successfully due to security reasons, as I mentioned. Alright. Imagine that if I press on support and guide guideline for customers, you can see that your browser is loading the page based on the responses that receive from the server. As I mentioned, your client send a request to your server, and based on a request, server do some processing and send a response to your client. Response includes HTML, CSS, JavaScript, image, video, audio, JSON, or JavaScript object notation, and etc. Let's talk about PHP. PHP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. Okay, PHP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. Let's check Wikipedia. It's multi-thread, it's object-oriented, it's procedural, it's functional, it's a design pattern. You can define different design patterns in it, and etc. Later, we write a design pattern. It's something like Laravel at the end of this term. Okay, as I mentioned, it's multi-thread, it's reflective, functional, imperative. It means it's new, it's interpreter. Later we talk about interpreters and compilers.